Good morning, students. 10th standard Social Science Economics Unit 2 Globalization and Trade. Globalization and trade means in தமிழ்ல வந்து வர்த்தக உலகமயமாக்கல் மற்றும் வர்த்தகம் trade. So learning objectives now we will see. To know the meaning and history of globalization. To know the trade and traders in South India, historical perspective. And to know the evolution of growth of MNC. Then to know the fair trade practices and WTO, World Trade Organization. To understand the impact and challenges of globalization. Branches of new economic policy. Liberalization, privatization and globalization LPG have become a much talked of subjects among politicians, economists and businessmen in modern days. Now we will see about this globalization. Globalization is the integration of a country with the world economy. Basically, globalization signifies a process of internationalization plus liberalization. Meaning of globalization. It is a spread of products, technology, information and jobs across national borders and cultures. In economic terms, it is described an interdependence of nations around the globe fostered through free trade. Actually, it is a free trade around the globe. Global trade involves the import and export of goods and services between international borders. Liberalization. It is a process whereby a state lifts restrictions on some private individual activities. தமிழ்ல சொல்லணும்னா தாராளமயமாக்கல் கொள்கை. In short, it is the removal of controls in order to encourage economic development. Then privatization. Privatization is the transfer of a business, industry or service from public to private ownership and control. History of globalization. The term of globalization was introduced by Professor Theodore Levitt. The historical background of globalization can be discussed on 3 stages. History of globalization. Stage 1, archaic globalization. Stage 2, proto-globalization. Stage 3, modern globalization. It was coined by the Professor Theodore Levitt. History of globalization. Stage 1, archaic globalization. Stage 2, proto-globalization. And stage 3, modern globalization. Archaic globalization. Archaic means ancient. That is the தொன்மையான. Andrew Gunter Frank argued that a form of globalization had been in existence since the rise of trade links between Sumer and Indus Valley civilization in the 3rd millennium BC. So, an early form of globalized economics and culture known as archaic globalization existed during the Hellenistic age. See the picture? An early form of globalization in the trade link between the Roman Empire, Parthian Empire and the Han Dynasty made the commercial links between these powers, inspired the development of the Silk Road. Already you have learnt in 9th standard. So the Islamic age was also an important early stage of globalization. The advent of the Mongol Empire, though establishing to the commercial centers of the Middle East and China, greatly facilitated travel along the Silk Road. So these pre-modern pace of global exchange are sometimes known as archaic globalization. Look at this picture. Parthian Empire, Han Dynasty and Roman Empire. They were connected each other with the commercial links. Next it is the proto-globalization. The next phase is known as the proto-globalization. It was characterized by the rise of maritime European empires in the 16th and 17th centuries. First the Portuguese and the Spanish empires and Dutch and British empires. In the 17th century, globalization became private business phenomenon like British East India Company founded in 1600, described as the first multinational company, and the first Dutch East India Company founded in 1602 were established. Next, it is a modern globalization. The 19th century witnessed the advent of globalization approaching its modern form. Between the globalization in the 19th and in the 20th century, there are significant differences. There are two main points. One is a global trade in his centuries as well as the capital, investment and economy. And another one is a global trade in the 20th century shows a higher share of trade in merchant production, a growth of the trade in services and the rise of production and trade by multinational firms. Look at this picture. See worldwide links, commercial links. These are the modern globalization links. Trade and traders in South India historical perspective. So Southern Indian trade guilds were the traders, were formed by merchants in order to organize and expand their trading activities. Trade guilds became channels through which Indian culture was exported to other lands. That is the merchants and traders. They exported the Indian culture to other lands. Early traders in the year 1053 AD, the Kalinga traders, modern Odisha, brought red-colored stone decorative objects for trade and also cotton textile to Southeast Asia at an early date. This is a Kalinga trade route. In the year 1053 AD, the Kalinga traders, modern Orissa, brought red-colored stone decorative objects for trade and also cotton textile to Southeast Asia at an early date. They did trade with the Ceylon, present Sri Lanka, Java, Sumatra, Malaya, Bali, China and Burma. European traders. This was due to the trading activities of the various European companies which came to India during this period. The discovery of a new all-sea route from Europe to India via Cape of Good Hope by Vasco da Gama had for reaching repercussions on the civilized world. That means that was the impact of the civilized world. Next, the Portuguese. The Portuguese under the leadership of Vasco da Gama landed at Calicut on May 1498. Profits of goods brought by Vasco da Gama to Portugal were to 60 times cost of the entire expedition to India. The second trip of Vasco da Gama in 1502 led to the establishment of trading station at Calicut, Cochin and Kannanur. Cochin was the early capital of the Portuguese in India. Dutch undertook several voyages from 1596 and formed the Dutch East India Company in 1602. In 1605, Admiral van der Hagen established Dutch factory at Masulipatinam and Pettapalli, Nizamapattinam, Devanampattinam. In 1610, upon negotiating with the king of Chandragiri, found another factory at Pulicat. Then other commodities exported by the Dutch were indigo and Bengal raw silk. Pulicat was the headquarters of the Dutch in India. Next it was the British. So on 31st December 1600, Queen Elizabeth granted charter to the East India Company on the southeastern coast. The English established at Masulipatinam in 1611 and near Pulicat in 1626. The Sultan of Golconda granted the English the Golden Fireman in 1632, by which they were allowed to trade freely in their kingdom ports. In 1639, built a fortified factory in Madras, which known as Fort St. George, the present Legislative Assembly, which soon displaced Masulipatinam as headquarters of the English settlement on the Coromandel coast. Next it was the Danes. The Danes formed an East India Company and arrived in India in 1616. The Danish settlements were established at Tranquebar in Tamil Nadu. Present it is a Tarangambadi in 1620, which was the headquarters of Danes in India. They failed to strengthen themselves in India and in 1845 were forced to sell all their Indian settlements to the British. Finally, the Britishers came. The first French factory in India was established in 1668 by obtaining permission from the Sultan of Golconda. In 1693, the Dutch captured Pondicherry but was handed back to the French. In 1701, Pondicherry was the headquarters of the French.